Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Aleeza Ben Shalom here with Marriage Minded Mentor. Our goal is to help singles get over the hurdles and under the chuppah. And we love doing that. It's one of our most favorite things in the world to do. Everybody else is like, dating. Ah! No. We love dating. We're all about dating, relationships, getting you through wherever you're at. And especially with this new dating style called virtual dating, we are here to back you up, because it's bizarre. Dating is so unusual right now. I want to say a huge thank you to our sponsor, Makeup Goldie at Makeup Goldie. You can find her on Instagram. She is a New York bridal makeup artist, and she's fantastic, and she's fun, and she's personable, and she gets it. So for all of you brides to be, you know, that's you. I'm talking to every one of you. For all of you brides to be, check out Makeup Goldie. You're going to find her. She's really lovely and wonderful. It is a great name too, Goldie. Okay, so here we go. Tonight is called a dating makeover. How perfect, because Goldie is sponsoring us. So we're going to have a dating makeover, and we're talking about how to revamp your dating life when it is not going your way. And clearly, if your goal is to meet your soulmate and you haven't met them, then it's not going your way. You know what you want. You're ready for it. You've worked for it, and it's still not happening. So what are we going to do about that? Because that's not acceptable. I'm not okay with that. You're not okay with that. We're not okay with that. Let's change it up. So here we go. We are going to revamp your dating. So I Googled revamp so that we could get like the real definition of it. It is the act of improving the form, structure, or appearance of something. That is revamp. So what are we going to revamp? So I want to talk about physical, emotional, spiritual revamp. We got to have a revamp. Makeup, when you put men, ladies, whether you're actors on stage, whomever you are, and whatever you do in the world, right? You put makeup on. Why? Uh-oh, am I freezing? Do I look like I'm freezing to you? No?
Nope, you're good.
I'm freezing to me. So we put makeup on. Some people be like, oh, it's to cover up those blemishes. Yeah, okay, so maybe we cover up some of our blemishes, but we really put makeup on to make us shine, to bring out what's already naturally there and just enhance it. That's all we're looking to do, is to enhance it. So that means that you're in fantastic condition to be enhanced, right? I'm not saying there's anything that's wrong with you. There's no major problem. It's just like a makeover. Let's just give you like, poof, a makeover. Men, women, everybody. This is for all of you out there. Okay. So here we go. First, we're going to talk about a physical makeover. Now, what am I talking about with a physical makeover? I'm talking about updating your physical appearance. Let's give you a little bit of an update. What's wrong with you? Nothing. You're great. But we're doing a makeover. So if we don't do something about it, then we're just thinking about doing a makeover. We're not actually doing a makeover. So about your physical appearance, I want to talk, what does it mean for a man to update his physical appearance? What does it mean for ladies to update their physical appearance? So you now have 1 minute to think about, not to think about this. You have 1 minute to get your thoughts together and quickly type in the chat box, for a man or for a woman, what does it mean to have a physical makeover? What are we talking about? Are we talking about clothing? Are we talking about the hair? Are we talking about, for ladies, makeup? Are we talking about accessories, belts or jewelry, or, you know, men and women do all sorts of things. Fancy shoes, you know, your new spectacular $200 pair of shoes that Aleeza said you should go buy them, right? What are we talking about? Men and ladies, I want to see some comments in the chat box. Tell us what kind of physical makeover we need.
Aleeza, I love this. You're basically telling everyone they can go do some retail therapy and just count it off as a dating expense.
Exactly. You put it on your dating bill and you're like,
why didn't you tell me this when I was single? Because I could have appreciated that.
You know, people who know how to do retail therapy don't get that message.
Oh. I get it. I hear what you're saying.
I love
All right. So dress well for your body type. How you present yourself regardless of what you're wearing. Makeup, clothes, look good for the date. Clothes, ooh, this is good. Clothes in which I would feel comfortable and attractive. Looking more confident, a change to something usual, so like new lip gloss, new highlights. Okay, someone just asked a question in the chat box. Please just drop it into the Q&A box so it doesn't get lost. All right, we got some more. Do my hair ensuring healthy weight, although emphasis, okay. Smile, smile, smile. Good hygiene. Super important. I'm just going to put it back there. Be approachable.
Great. Great. So we see with physical appearance, everything that you're putting out there, some of it's for the body, it's the clothing that goes on the body. Sometimes it's the body itself that we're making over. And sometimes it's something internal that we want reflected on the body, like a smile, right? That's all a part of this physical makeover. And what I want you to do, because I give homework, this is going to be your homework. You're going to get a 3-part homework. This is part 1. Homework part 1 is, what do you want to make over? What's on your bucket list to make over? What have you been thinking about for the last week or the last month or the last year that you're like, oh, I should do that. I'm ready. I need that. What is on your list to do? Think about it. And then I'm giving you 30 days to accomplish it. That's it. In 30 days, you can message me at coach@marriagemindedmentor.com and be like, I did it. If you do it in 2 days, yasher koach, way to go. You can accomplish it. But you not only have my permission, I am telling you, I need you to take care of you so that you feel good. Part of a makeover is that internally it should lift you. Whatever we do externally, it's something that's done externally, but it's not for the purpose of externality alone. It's so that it internally elevates you and it brings you up to a place where you're feeling pretty good inside. Okay? Did I miss anything, Sarah? Any more comments that we might have missed?
Dress comfortably, pick up a few extras, lip dye, hair. I love your homework, someone said.
Okay, good. So I'm going to give you more homework. Are you ready? So first we're going to go to step 2. Step 2 is emotional. We have to do an emotional makeover. Now, when we're talking about an emotional makeover, emotions, they're feelings, there's stuff that's going on inside. When you feel something in your heart, you also feel it in your body. Think about when you feel anxious, what happens? You don't feel so good. You don't feel, right? You don't feel good in your own skin. What happens if you're feeling nervous? Your heart might race, your hands might shake, you get a little jittery in your seat, you don't know what to do. What happens if you're feeling happy? Oh my gosh, this wave of joy comes over you and you feel it in your body, right? What happens if you're feeling sad? You're like in that moment and your whole body is just feeling it, right? We need to do an emotional makeover. So what you need to start with is, again, an evaluation. So let's put in the chat box for me, please. What are some things, not you personally, but what are some things that people struggle with emotionally as they're going through the dating process? Tell me a little bit about that. What are we struggling with? What do we work on overcoming? Where are our hangups? What have you heard from your friends or from people that you know? And what catches us? It catches us usually in a stream of negativity or emotionally, like when we're talking about an emotional makeover, we're talking about clearing out all the schmutz on the inside.
So we got rejection. We got, am I good enough? The guys are so boring. TMI on a date. I've been working on setting aside, analyzing each date and everything says, and just relaxing and enjoying. Yes. Lack of self-confidence, commitment, comparability. Dating is hard work. Conversation flow, especially for introverts, self-esteem issues, frustration. Yeah. I always have to be the entertainer. I hate that.
That's a lot of work, by the way.
A different standard, compatibility, fear of rejection, being excited for another date. We'll get some good ones.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to move through. So, Sarah, pick out 3. We've got rejection. Give me 2 more.
So rejection, self-confidence.
Okay.
And let's go with comparability.
Comparability.
Like comparing
yourself to somebody else and that. Okay. So you're going to remind me because I'll forget. So rejection, self-confidence, and comparability. Okay. So when you're going through rejection, what happens? This wave of like, oh, they don't want me. Even if I didn't want you, right? Even if I wasn't actually really interested in you, the fact that you don't want me, how could you not want me, right? It doesn't feel good. It's not, it doesn't land right. It's not like somebody rejects you and you're like, oh yay, they rejected me. Even if you don't want them, it's just like, well, why wouldn't they want me? Okay. Now it could be a relief to some people to get a rejection so that they don't have to reject somebody. So it could be sometimes that that's not a negative. That could be something that's a positive, but a lot of times rejection just hits us at a core level. So when we're talking about a makeover, how do we get over rejection? How do we move through negative things that hit us? It's almost like, you know, like somebody comes over and they give you a knock and you're like, you bruised me. Like, I need a week to heal. So what I want you to do for homework is identify ways in which you have not felt emotionally at peace and at ease. Just identify and make me a list of ways that you've been hurt or that you've not felt your best, or things that just don't sit right with you. Maybe you never had the opportunity to say something back to somebody, right? You didn't get the last word and you didn't even get to explain yourself so well. That might be frustrating. Whatever it is, make a nice long list. Then what I want you to do is look over this list, and I want you to be in a place of acceptance and forgiveness, right? I accept what happened. I don't have to like it. Still not going to like it, but I'm going to accept what happened. And I forgive myself. I forgive the other person. I'm being forgiving of the situation. I don't know exactly what the situation is going to need, but work on forgiveness. And the last piece of this, emotionally, so I think we talked about this. I don't know if it was here, or it might have been a different webinar, but where if you're in the center here, okay? And if you imagine like rays of sunshine all around you, okay? And they're invisible strings attached to all of these negative things or emotionally downer things, okay? And I want you to visualize, and I want you to take your imaginary scissors, and I want you to snip each one of those little rays that are no longer sunshine, because they're not lifting you up. That is not a sunshine ray. That is a doom and gloom yuck ray. And we are going to get rid of them. So first you have to make the list, and then you have to cut and separate them. If you want to actually write your list on a piece of paper and then take scissors and like snip, 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 snip right down the middle and crumple it up and throw it away, that can be a nice physical representation of acknowledging, accepting, forgiving, and moving on from this emotional stuff. And then we make a space for allowing amazing things to come in. So now you can't just wait for some amazing things to come in. What you need to do is to replace all the emotional yuck with all the emotional yum. So the question is, what is emotionally yummy, appealing? What feels good to you? What could you do for yourself? That was fun. What could you do for yourself in terms of emotional makeover? Who's got ideas? Put it in the chat box of what you can do for an emotional makeover. How do you make yourself over? Once you cleared out all the schmutz and we got rid of all the yuck, how do we bring in that yummy, warm, emotional makeover? What can we do for ourselves to bring ourselves back to a place of balance where we are not out of our element, where we're just so heavily leaning towards one end? How do we bring ourselves back together?
All right, we got work on Emunah.
So define it, please.
Emunah, belief.
Okay, work on your beliefs and connections and.
We got self-care. Such a good one. I know it's a buzzword these days, but still such a good one. Realistically acknowledge your strengths. Write down all the positive attributes that you have. Talk to a trusting friend who always has your back. Remember that you are worthy of love.
Yeah.
These are so good.
These are good. Good, right? Okay. Emotionally, you have to, absolutely must, love yourself first. You have to be at peace with what's happening in your life. You have to be okay with it. And there has to be a tremendous amount of self-love. You have to, in Judaism, we talk about love your neighbor as yourself, right? So, go and love your neighbor. How do you do that? As yourself. That means that we start with self-love. Self-love is number one. Loving your neighbor is number two. Loving that partner in your life is number two. If you're not in a place of self-love, if you're not emotionally in love with yourself, if you're not enjoying yourself, how's anybody else in the world going to enjoy you? You don't even enjoy you. You don't even want to be with you. How come me? I should enjoy being with you? Why? Some people want somebody to draw them out and pull them out of themselves and create. No, 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 no. You have to do this for yourself. You have to work on yourself internally, get rid of the schmutz, and replant and put in some beautiful things to grow in your emotional garden. Sarala? Yes.
I feel like I should ask permission first. Can I play devil's advocate here?
Yeah, sure.
Let's
play.
I used to say that for a long time, and I my source was always, "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," that in order to love someone else, you need to love yourself first. And I very strongly believe in self-love, and I think that it's so important to have that foundation first before you go into a relationship. But I don't think it needs to be that way. I think that's always the ideal option. I think you see many times where you do have situations with people who are struggling with self-love, and sometimes there is that other person who's an incredible human being who loves them to a place where they learn to recognize the love for themselves. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that, especially with people who are struggling with mental health and stuff like that. I think it's important to acknowledge that if you're not in a place of self-love, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't be in a healthy relationship. I think as long as you acknowledge it and you're aware of it, and you have the right people on your team helping you through it, I think that it is doable.
I agree that, but it has to come with that awareness,
right,
like you said, and it has to come with, and I'm working on it, and it also has to come 100%. With, and I'm not expecting you to bail me out.
Right.
And you do have to have a partner who's okay with the fact that you're not there yet. And possibly they're not going to be there yet either. You're going to both be in a place where you're growing towards that. So yes. And I like the way you said it also about, it's ideal that we have that self-love and we're in that place. And when we don't live in the ideal state, it's also okay. We can still look for love and figure it out on the road.
All right. You can continue.
Thank you. Okay, fantastic.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Fantastic. So we've got physical, we've got emotional, and now we're going to talk about spiritual. Spiritual, just so you know, we have an audience of all ages, all stages, all backgrounds, young and old, religious and secular, men and women. We cater and work with anybody who is marriage minded. That is our true audience, and our people are marriage minded that come here. If they're not, you don't want to hang around with me, because that's all I want to talk about.
At least I will get you married.
I will. All we like to talk about is dating, love, and marriage. That's it. That's what I like to talk about. So, I mean, just so you know, like my youngest client was 19, my oldest client was 89. We do have an average, age of clients in the middle, but we help people to find love. So when we are talking about a spiritual connection and spiritual makeover, I'm not going to define anything religious. Okay, so let's put religion aside. Spirituality, the essence of connecting with a higher power. Okay, just for lack of to being too specific or too religious with the language, I want everybody to be able to connect to this. If you don't connect to the idea of a higher power, you can use the universe or whatever you use to connect to the world at large. So in terms of spiritual makeover, we want to talk about not being stagnant, being growth oriented. And what I want to talk about is past, present, future in terms of spirituality. What have you done up until now? How have you grown? Look back 1 year ago, last summer. Where were you? Now, tell me the good part. Where have you come? Where have you grown in the last year? I'm not asking what you didn't do. I'm sure you got a long list. I don't want to know about what you didn't do. I want to know what you have done over this past year and how you've grown. And then I want you to pause, acknowledge that, definitely like pat yourself on the back for that. Way to go, Yasher Koach. Then I want to know, what are you going to do? What's on your spiritual agenda? What's next? So I'm going to tell you an interesting / I hope inspirational story that a few of you might know about. And woo, there goes my camera. Oh, that's fun. Entertaining, a roller coaster ride here. So here's the entertaining story. I was at a Shabbat meal, actually at Rabbi Klatzko's house in Muncie. If anybody knows Rabbi Klatzko from Shabbat.com. I was there And I did a little bit of speaking. I worked with a lot of singles. We had a fantastic time. And at the end, Rabbi Kotzko has this thing at the end of Shabbat, before, when we do it during third meal, he says, okay, come on up. Somebody, come up to the room, get your l'chaim, and tell us, one thing you're going to take on. Give us something about growth and spirituality and what's on your agenda. And I'm standing there and I'm kind of like in the middle of the room and I'm just, like little wallflower, just watching what's happening. And everybody's like, I'm gonna, do this and I'm gonna do that. I'll do Shabbos and I'll do holidays and, man, I want to start wearing a yarmulke, or I want to start, praying more regularly, or I want to have an awareness of, spirituality in the world more, and I'm going to learn more, and I'm going to take more classes. Everybody had something to say, and I'm standing there and I'm thinking, what do you want to do? And I was like, no, I don't want to do anything. I've done anything. I'm good. I'm good. And I'm like, Aleeza, that's a ridiculous answer. I'm good. There's nothing else. Like, if you're not growing and you're not going in this direction, there is no flatlining. You are going down. If you are not heading up, you are heading down in this world. So you have to be wanting to do something. And I'm thinking, I'm racking my brain. I'm like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Spirituality, growth. What are you going to take on? And I really like a mind blank like this. And
I don't believe your mind blanks, Aleeza.
It's funny. My mind is almost never blank. And in that moment, it was totally blank. And there's this girl behind me and she's like this. I feel these hands on my back and she's pushing me forward to the front of the room. And then she started, and I'm like, no. I'm like, I don't have anything. Like, I'll think of it. Hold on. I'll think of it. And she's like this, Aleeza wants to say something, everybody. And I was like, don't do that to me. I don't know what to say. And I get up there and I'm telling them and I'm like, I have to tell you, I've been thinking about it and I've been growing for a lot of years and I've been doing lots of stuff and I don't really have anything in mind. And so, and I'm like stumbling and stuttering and I'm pausing and I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what to say. And I'm shaking, like you're hot and you're sweaty and you don't feel so good. You're standing in front of a room and you're just tongue tied. And it like flowed from the heaven into my mind and out of my mouth. And it's like, well, so my name is Aleeza Bracha. Aleeza is joy. Bracha is blessings. And I really believe very strongly in blessings elevating the world and helping to make it a better place. And I know that when you say a blessing, after it, you should say amen, that it elevates the blessing. Amen is like saying, me too, I agree. And it's just a part of strengthening and connecting to the divine, to the infinite. And so I am going to take on, I'm at the front of the room saying this is like the first time I thought it was when it came out of my mouth. I am going to take on giving blessings, a blessing a day. This was over the summer from now until Sukkot. And I'm going to do it on social media.
That's how this started?
This is how it started.
I did not know this.
Okay. And I'm going to give a blessing a day. I'm going to make a commitment to give a blessing a day on social media. And I'm going to encourage and teach people about the power of the blessing and the power of saying amen and never missing an opportunity. And I get done and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just commit to? Like a blessing a day? And I'm like, okay, you could do this. You could do this. And like, in English, may you, inspire and be inspired throughout the day and blah, 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 blah. And I, like blessing time. And at the end, everybody's commenting, amen, 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 amen. And you get likes. Okay. I think I introduced this. And the first time I did it, I don't know, I must have had 100, maybe 150 people are liking and commenting amen. And I'm like, oh, there's something to this. And then, it normalizes. And I think on average, I had anywhere from 50 to 100 people clicking like and clicking amen. And then it started, people would say, and you too. And so when they comment you too on my post, then I would comment amen because that's a blessing, right? I made a blessing. You said you too. Now I comment amen. Now I grab that amen. So I started doing that. And then people, even recently, because by the way, I don't do it every day anymore. I'll tell you the PS of what happened, but I still put blessings up often and people comment and now they're giving me a new blessing back. So I give a blessing and they either add on to my blessing or they give a new one. And I'm like, amen. Sometimes it's in caps, sometimes it's an exclamation, sometimes not, just lowercase. And it's this whole thing. Started like a whole, I call it blessing time. And it's this whole Amen blessing campaign. And I used to get messages when I was doing this. They're like, I look for your blessing every morning when I wake up. Like, that's what I look forward to. I got a message from somebody and she said, I don't know, but I think you are tapping into my brain and you are reading what I needed, because exactly what you gave me a blessing for, I was struggling with today. Like, I was crying. I went through such a thing. How did you know? And I'm like, I don't know. This is, you know,
that would be God.
right. Divinely inspired. So when we're talking about, and I'm going to bring this back home, when we're talking about a spiritual makeover, I had no idea what to make over. I wasn't feeling super inspired to make anything over in that moment. I was completely uninspired. And that's something that came to me. And I'll tell you, out of everything that I've done on social media in terms of, you know, saying something and doing something and helping people consistently, what Sarah knows, because she's my marketer, what gets the most attention, Sarah?
Blessings.
Blessings. Without fail, I know that I can get, you know, 50 to 100 likes, comments, hearts, smiley faces, and amens every single time without fail. So when you take a step in spiritual growth, whatever that means to you, even if it's making blessings every day on Facebook, like, it doesn't matter. The world comes back to meet you and to elevate you and to elevate the entire world. Your growth isn't just personal growth. Your spiritual growth is what the world needed to take the entire world up a notch. And the whole world can't go up a notch unless you're going up a notch with it. So we have an obligation to step it up. And hey, for your soulmate, you're going to want to step it up because they're going to need you to step it up too.
Aleeza.
Yeah.
Jessica actually says about your blessing, I love it. It makes my day. Everyone should join Aleeza's Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
We actually had a great question. What's wrong with being happy with who you are and saying that no growth is needed?
It's really a good question, because I was in that moment and I was like, you know, no growth is needed. I'm good. So let's think of it like this, because I'm very into nature. Anybody who's been watching webinars knows I'm all into my planting and into growth. So what happened in the spring, I took seeds and I threw them in pots or in the ground and I watered them, and the sunshine came and we took care of them and nurtured them. And what happened? They grew and grew and grew and grew and sprouted. And all of a sudden I have these gorgeous, we have to do it earlier in the webinar, but I have these gorgeous sunflowers in my yard. Sarah, we should take a picture. I'll take a picture and I should send it so we could send it out to our group. So everything started growing, and then comes the heat in the summer, and then the fall, and then the winter. And then what happens in the winter? Everything dies, right? Gone, bye-bye flowers, bye-bye leaves. You see the trees and they're there, and you know, the branches are there, but you know, nothing else is happening. And you're thinking, wow, you know, see, no growth. Just like that, Aleeza, there's no growth with the trees over the winter. There's no growth now. No, there is growth. You know what's happening? They're sleeping. It's their quiet time. It's their downtime. And what do we need to recharge and to elevate us? Growth. And sometimes quiet time is growth. So if you're thinking I don't need anything, I don't know that I buy into that. I don't know if I buy into nothing. I don't buy into nothing because I just don't believe in no personal growth. And you know, this is me. I'm not saying this is right. I'm saying this is my opinion. I have one of my kids recently, I'll say something and then they look at me and they go, opinion, Ima, opinion. And then I'll say something else and I'll be like, fact. You know, we had this little argument going. It's so cute. So this is my opinion. My opinion is that growth is always happening, but it might not be visible to your eyes or your ears or your senses. And you might not have an awareness of what that growth is. But I think in this world, growth is constant. Growth never ends.
I think there's also a difference between being comfortable with who you are, like meaning it's okay to feel a lack of there's always more for me to grow, but also at the same time being comfortable with where you are. I don't know, Aleeza, I'm curious how you feel, because I feel like growing up in the ultra-Orthodox community, there's definitely an emphasis on you should never feel comfortable with where you are. But I do think from an emotional perspective, you should definitely have a sense of comfort and confidence with where you are, and acknowledge that there's always more to grow. That doesn't mean you're not good enough now. It just means like, hey, you could be even better.
Well, it's like, you know, iPhone 10, iPhone 11. They're both iPhones. They're great. Like new model, right? Nothing's wrong with the old model. It's great. And it was perfect for that time in that moment. And there's going to be a new model that comes out also, but we have to love what we have when we have it and who we are.
And iPhone and Apple's always in the works, making something better.
Right. Could you imagine if they stopped making new phones, Apple, Android, whatever, no new phones. That's it. Whatever model you have, this is the latest and the greatest. There will never be anything invented, anything further, because we don't need it. How could you not? You're obligated to, right? How about a business who has no new growth, no changes? They're going to do everything the same forever. They would die in Corona.
Right.
You have to adapt, and our circumstances are constantly changing. So I do think that we do need to be working on growth, but I love the point about being satisfied with who we are and where we are, and that we are enough, and that we will also strive for more. It sounds like a contradiction in terms, but it is actually not.
Like most of life. All right.
So we're going to get to the Q&A part of our program. For anybody who's live with us, you can continue to ask your questions in the chat box. For anybody who's watching a replay, which will happen after this, enjoy what's about to follow.
And then sign up for the upcoming webinar so you can ask your question live.
Yes.
All right. So you mentioned you had clients. Your youngest was 19 and your oldest was 89. Did the younger and older person get married?
Yes and yes. Oh, no, the older one didn't get married. I don't know the.
But they weren't looking for a marriage, right?
The younger one got married. The older one, I have to check in because I checked in I met her 2 summers ago. I checked in a year later and they were still happily dating after a year. And I was like, oh, yay. But I haven't checked in this summer. So I have to check in this summer.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
They were definitely in a serious
committed. Yeah, they were in a committed relationship. Yeah.
That's sweet.
And again, we work with people from all different backgrounds. So some people are looking to be engaged and married within 3 or 6 months, and some people within 3 or 6 years, and some people within whatever time frame.
Right. Aleeza, I forgot to take down the name of who said it, but someone just dropped this in the chat box, and I know you're going to love it, so I have to share. This was when you were talking about the emotional aspect and rejection, and he or she said, rejection is Hashem's protection.
Love it. So we have 2 interns with us now. So Lana is going to write that down. Rejection is Hashem's protection. We love it. And we also have Carly, who's in the chat box, who's working with us to keep the conversation going and flowing. Thank you, ladies. We love you. We are so happy that you're a part of our team.
Awesome. Any advice on how to look your best on Zoom? Dress, makeup colors, etc.
Okay. So here, we'll just use my background, for example. So this is a nicely formed background. And I used to see people who had these really cool backgrounds. And I was like, oh, I want a plant in my background. So I got this lovely table that I think my kids and husband built together. And it's like extra tall. And I took it out of one of my kids' rooms. Actually, they were okay with it. They were like, Ima, I don't need this anymore. And then my mother-in-law was moving and she gave me this gorgeous plant. And so I stuck that there. And then each time I try to do like the frame, first of all, in terms of the frame on Zoom, you want your head not too high and not too low. And you could be a little off center to the left or right. Like you don't have to be exactly in the middle. It's not great to have a background that is so busy and distracting that I really don't like. I want to see your punam, and if I can't see your punam, I don't want to be distracted by everything else in the frame. Like Sarah right now has a white background. It's very plain. That's okay. Neutral is better than busy. And also I have seen the very popular Zoom background changers. Okay. But they are a little bit weird. And I'm going to tell you why, because I love them.
They're very distracting.
So here's the background.
Your move and your face is like, is it there? Is it not there?
Okay. So you do look like one of those movies where you're like in 3D land, and sometimes when you move your arm, half of it disappears. Back to the Future. Anybody remember when like I'm dating myself, but with the photo where they started to disappear from the photo, right? So sometimes they disappear. Anybody know this reference? Anybody? But so, you don't, clearly, Sarah. Okay, somebody in the chat box does.
I don't remember it. I've seen it. I don't remember.
Okay, so in one of the Back to the Future movies, they literally have the photo and the people start disappearing from the photo because of the timeline. So that's what it feels like when I look at the Zoom, because sometimes somebody moves their arm and I'm like, oh, the magical disappearing. You have you have a hand, but with no arm. I can't see anything. But it's creative and fun. I've also seen people like flip through backgrounds. Like as they're talking about something, they're like, oh, and my trip to Rome. And then they literally show you on their background, their Rome trip. And it's like, oh, that's so cool. So you could use backgrounds and things, use them creatively and not overusing them. Like don't make it so distracting that I don't get a feel for you in terms of person and dress and whatever. So anybody who has ever been on stage, whether in front of a camera or on a live stage, you have to put on twice as much makeup. This is for ladies, or we've seen men on stage put on makeup, right? So like you have to have enough that it shows up on camera. In real life, I might look like a clown. Like my kids, when they see me after my webinars, they're like, Ema, your cheeks are awfully red. I'm like, yeah, but on camera, you can hardly see it. Right? You can see it just enough that it shows up, but not enough that it actually looks weird. So you have to usually double apply. What else? Clothing wise, so you can be colorful. Like Sarah has on a pattern. Patterns work fine. Solids work fine. You know, if you want jewelries and accessories, fine. Glasses, the one thing about glasses is they're reflective. So, you know, like Sarah, if you get that fantastic, what is it? The blue,
these are blue light,
anti-blue light, anti whatever. So
this
those
is what
are
it looks like with. So if you don't have them, you definitely don't.
Yeah, so wait, where are my glasses? Do I have my glasses here, or I must have left them downstairs. I wanted to show you mine. You could actually see through and see my eyes because I didn't pay for that. I believe so. I mean, unless there's a glare maybe coming from the light. I left them downstairs. Let me I'll look at my bag while we're schmoozing to see if I have them here.
While you're looking, I'm going to share an excellent idea that just came in from Simi. Do your makeup, then look on camera and fix on camera before your date.
Yeah, don't be doing your makeup when you come on screen.
No. Well, obviously. But no, the point was, instead of just doing it in the mirror, do it on, but then look and see how it looks on camera and fix on camera so that you're popping. Right.
Exactly. And glasses, by the way, like don't worry about your glasses. Like they are what they are. Like I could still see your face and it's normal. And be comfortable. I think somebody said this in one of the other comments when we were talking about appearance. If you are not comfortable in what you're wearing, I don't care if your best friend thinks it's their favorite shirt on you.
Right.
If you hate it, put it in the giveaway box and donate it. Please give it away. You don't need it. It's not for you. If you like it and you're going to feel confident in it, then you should wear it. I did wear a shirt the other day that totally clashed with this background. It was like pastel colors, and this is like olive and whatever. And I looked in it and or purple something. And I was like, ooh, don't do that again. So I changed before our webinar tonight and I just put on neutral black. So just, you know, have fun with it and be intentional.
Sounds good. Being an older single dating these days is very different even than just 5 years ago. How do you keep your own personal standards when it feels like dating standards now are lower than your expectations?
So we have to do a whole dating makeover. And I would encourage you to do a list, what dating was and what I loved about how dating used to be, what I didn't like about how dating used to be, and then let's do modern day. What I like or can tolerate about dating now, because I'm not going to say you're going to love it, and what I really don't like and what bothers me. And then I would tell you to modify what you're doing based on your preferences. So start with what you can handle the most, meaning I hate speed dating online. I can't stand it and I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it. So don't do it, but do go on apps and look for people there. Okay. Figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and make an effort in a way that you can tolerate.
Okay, I'm just trying to think if we addressed the question.
Anybody new knows Aleeza sometimes answers questions that Sarah doesn't ask, and then Sarah has to re-ask the question because Aleeza didn't really answer.
That's okay. If that was your question, if that was your question, you want to just send it back in and clarify a little bit what specifically you're looking for, because I'll be honest, I'm not even 100% clear on it myself. So if that was you, just type it in again. All right. Next up, Dating, I'm not even sure this might no, this is not the same question. Dating has become routine. All of my dates are looking like a blur. How can I go into each date with fresh eyes?
Date less. Slow your dating down.
Okay.
You might be going out with too many people too often, and it's just like one after the other, after the other, after the other, and you're like, you all just look and sound the same to me.
Basically.
Just because it's online and just because you can reach somebody instantaneously does not mean that you should get online immediately. It doesn't mean you should do it every night. It doesn't mean you should do it multiple times in a week. It means you should still date-ish how you used to date, meaning it's ideal to look and date one person. If you are not dating, but you're just looking into one or two things, you should then narrow it down and still try to date somebody, whether it starts on the phone or it starts with a video, or you are going to meet or you aren't going to meet. Figure out that person, figure out that situation. When you're done with it, then you can move on. Don't overdate.
Aleeza, tell me if this makes sense, but I also kind of feel like they might be dating the wrong people. Like if you're dating the kind of people that you want to be dating, there should
right. If they look and sound the same and they're all not what you want, then we have a problem. But the problem is they're not for you. So like next. Now let's figure out what's not working and fix it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Next up, how do you clarify expectations when there's a cultural divide?
I mean, talk about it. Like, let's get a cup of coffee, like talk amongst yourselves. Everybody get a cup of coffee and schmooze. Do you know that reference?
No. You're making me look bad, you guys.
No, you're so young. I love you. I'm so old. Somebody in the chat box knows that reference. Yes, thank you. It's from Saturday Night Live.
I don't watch it. No, never watched it.
I mean, I like years ago. I don't know. It's just, come on, we'll have coffee and we'll talk. She had a whole thing. So talk about it. Why not sit down, have a conversation? If you don't think like, oh, well, I'll cause a disruption and it won't work. Nothing's working yet. So if it's not working, you're not going to lose anything. At least try to have an open conversation, non-judgmental conversation. Just be available to schmooze and figure it out.
I'm going to add another thing. I assume there will be miscommunication, even when you're communicating really, really, really well.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Like, it's not a reflection of either your communication skills. It's a reflection of that cultural difference. And the more it happens, the more you're going to know when to anticipate it. And it's going to be a lot easier to manage. Yep.
And you're going to get better at it over time because you get into that like routine.
You can tell we have a cultural divide. I mean, everything is relative, but all right. So this was her question, or his question, I don't know, anonymous. My question, I met more dating older guys and people telling you he became less religious, but he needs a wife to push him. Or being shomer negi, I'm assuming, so not touching the other person. Okay, so I think I understand the question now. Let me just find the other piece. How do you keep your personal standards when it feels like dating standards, specifically in this case, religious standards, have been lowered with time and the people around you are telling you, he just needs the right person?
He should lower his standards? Is that what he's being told?
No. There's this phenomenon within the Orthodox community that the older someone gets, the less religious they become. As a general rule, totally, generalizing. So it seems that this woman is being told that even though the guys are older and she has her standards that she's not willing to lower, she's being told, you know what, like, yes, he became less religious, but, he just needs a good wife to push him. And that, I'm going to throw in another question. Her question is like how to manage that. And I'm just going to say, like, is that her responsibility to be that person for him?
Right. I am not a huge fan of somebody pushing or, dragging somebody along. If somebody together kind of wants to be pulled along and this one enjoys gently pulling and this one enjoys going along for the ride and it's their energy and flow of them as a couple, I have seen it work. And I have had certain people tell me, I need that. I'm not going to do it on my own. I need somebody to help me with that. So I do understand that. But I don't want anybody going in with an expectation of they're here and they're going to be here. They're here and they might forever stay here. They might go here. They might go here. I don't know.
Right.
They might go here. I don't know where they're
so
going.
Now let's go back to the original question. With that understanding, how do you keep your own personal standards when it feels like dating standards are lower than your expectations? The guys you're dating are, yeah.
So thanks for the whole clarification. So it's difficult. It's difficult to hold your own standards when you're not finding something that matches you anymore. And you're trying to figure out, how can I still be me and find what I'm looking for? Because I'm not seeing a match of what's out there anymore. So I have seen couples where they agree to disagree on certain things, right? I'm doing this and you're doing that. Those are not the same things. I don't want to change you. I don't want you to change me. I love me who I am. I love you for who you are. And it's okay that we're different in those ways. So I would love it if you could just accept and embrace who you are and acknowledge that who you are dating might be different from you. And that's not lowering your standards. That's just looking at somebody and accepting who they are and seeing if they're a good match for you, even if some of your practices are different. It's not that your standard is lower, it's that your level of practice might be different, but it doesn't mean that it's a lower standard. It's just a different practice. Semantics there a little bit.
Right. And people are relating to this. Someone said that they were told, would you rather stay single forever? Who cares if he doesn't go to Minion? At least you won't be alone. Not cool. I don't know who said that to you, but it wasn't nice.
I'm not a fan of those comments. They don't resonate with me. I like that people find genuine, real, good people on the inside, and then we figure out who they are also on the outside and what they do in this world, and we figure out a way to make it work. And to find a person, a personality, just somebody that you can enjoy spending time with, that you can connect with, it's difficult enough. And so we have to allow places for us to be similar and places for us to be different, and to acknowledge that and to learn how to navigate it.
I really, really like this. Someone shared that a wise rabbi once said that marriage is not a chesed project. Marriage is not a charity project. It's finding someone you can live with, who they are now. And marriage is a beit midrash. So marriage is like a study hall or a space for the development of good character traits.
Beautiful.
That's really
spectacular.
Nice. Right? Why do you might like that?
I do.
All right. If you're not getting suggestions or you're not happy with the suggestions you're receiving, what do you suggest to increase suggestions? You want to start counting how many times I say suggestions and make sure they're on target so you aren't wasting anyone's time. All I want to say 2 words. Aleeza, do you know what those 2 words are? Daters Academy. Ah! High five. Yes, literally that's what Daters Academy is. You want to explain Daters Academy really briefly?
You go for it. Come on, my friend. You're my expert.
Right. So Daters Academy is a program that Aleeza created.
Developed.
With my help. But essentially Daters Academy walks you through the process of properly expressing who you are and what you're looking for in a relationship so that you attract the right kind of people. I don't know if you're the same person who made a comment about, all dates feeling like a blur and wanting something a little bit fresher, but often that happens when we're just going out with every suggestion, or we can't be bothered anymore with the research because it feels so time consuming. And then, to go on one coffee date's not worth all the research. But then the flip side is you're just going out on all those coffee dates and just everyone likes free coffee. But come on, there's only so much free coffee until it starts to get like, hey, I'm not even dating the real, a real chance because it's gotten to this point. So Daters Academy is 5 mini courses. There's the perfect profile, literally teaches you how to, beef up your profile. Yeah. Soulmate summary, so you can express to other people exactly what you're looking for. And just to be clear about that, that doesn't mean you have this idea in your head of what he or she needs to look like, and that never changes. Because I don't know, I got nothing. I knew exactly what I was looking for, and I got someone who's nothing like it. But it just means that you at least could put out there so that people could send the right potential your way. soulmate summary. We have online overhaul. If you're going to be dating online, that's super important. Again, know what exists of you online so that you're not attracting the wrong kind of people. Mystery in your history. I'm not going to tell you what that one is. Basically, kind of.
You're going to hate it, and I love it.
It basically walks you through the process of looking into your history and seeing if maybe your Mr. or Mrs. Right is there. And then the last one is +1 perspective, which is the mindset stuff to get you back into that right space for this. But this is really, really helpful in terms of getting the right kind of suggestions for the kind of person that you're looking for.
Right. Because also, I'm going to say, as you're looking up the next question, you know what you want. You're probably clear about it. If you're not clear about it, we could help you to get clear about it. But often I find that people really know what they want. The way that they say it and the way that somebody understands it, it's like it's like speaking Chinese and English. It's just two different languages. So we want you to be able to express something in a way that somebody else can hear it and they get it and it makes sense for exactly what you mean, not their interpretation, which is like off. And you're like, that's not what I said. I said this. And they're like, oh, really? That's what you meant? I didn't understand it. So we work very hard to clarify the language and to be intentional and specific and detailed about it.
Perfect. All right. What if I like myself, but I'm not comfortable with my body or look, etc.?
What do you need to do to get comfortable with yourself and like yourself? Because it's going to be so hard for somebody else to sit across the table and like you. I often think that it's very hard for people to like if you don't, they can only like you as much as you like you, right? Like if you can't fall in love with yourself, if you can't come to appreciate your face, your body, big, small, in between, I've been all different sizes, like just going through, I am who I am, I can love who I am, I can enjoy who I am. If you don't like one feature, we all have features we don't like, look at another. This is also advice of how you look at somebody else. But if you don't like their eyes, then look at their smile. If you don't like their smile, then look at their hands. If you don't like their hands, then look at their shape of their face. Or if you don't like that, like find some feature that you can hyper focus on that you can be like, oh, I like that. And find that within yourself and teach yourself to get comfortable with yourself and love yourself and sit there and like give yourself a really big hug. Like just embrace yourself. Really, really, really hold tightly onto yourself and be generous and warm and kind and loving to yourself, because in the same way that you treat yourself, other people are going to come to treat you. And if you're very rough and abrasive and rigid and uncomfortable with yourself, I think you're going to get that back from the world, and I don't want you to attract that.
Everything Aleeza said, I agree with everything you said. I particularly like the idea of finding a specific body part that you do like and hyper focusing on that. I think it makes it a lot easier to deal with everything else. I would add, it's definitely worth doing the work to get to a place where you can, if not love, be comfortable. If not be comfortable, accept your body and your look. Like Aleeza said, it's a lot easier for the more confident and comfortable you are in your body, the more someone else will want that from you, or with you. But again, it doesn't mean that you have to have that. There are many women who get married. And again, that's what I was going to say. It goes both ways. I work with women, so that's at the top of my head. But there are many people who get married who aren't comfortable with their partner. And, with time, being with someone who can appreciate that about them, they come to appreciate about themselves also. But totally worth doing the inner work. If you are on social media, definitely follow body positive accounts. It's so helpful.
Like Sarah. So Sarah works with me with Marriage Minded Mentor. And also we'll talk more about how we're incorporating and teaming up to coach and work with singles. But you can follow her on Instagram and Facebook. You want to just tell them where to find you?
I'll put it in the link below, but I'm on Instagram at findloveatanysize with a dot between each one. So I'll put that in the link in the chat box. But the more So you want to have more positive accounts in your feed, and at the same time, take away any ones that are not making you feel comfortable about your body, right? So anything that's going to make you compare yourself, not even worth having in your life. The most important thing that I want to bring out, and one of the biggest misconceptions that I feel like happens in this area, is people have this belief that if they work on themselves enough, if they get to a point where they like their bodies or they're comfortable with their bodies, they're going to be set for life. And that's just not true. We live in a society that is not cool with that. And so we are always going to have moments of insecurity. The difference is, instead of getting stuck in that insecurity, it's finding the tools so that when that experience happens and I feel uncomfortable, I can acknowledge it, feel the emotion that I'm feeling, and then move past it. So there's a lot that you could do if you like yourself, but you're not comfortable with your body and looks. Yeah, there's definitely work to be done, and it's so worth it. That's what I can say. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So
also, as you're finding a question, just to tell you, clients of all shapes and sizes get married, and it doesn't matter tall or short or fat or skinny or ugly or pretty or whatever you want to judge and you want to call somebody on the outside. I've seen all types. And go look out into that wide world of yours and tell me about the married people out there. Have you seen people that are only one kind that are married? Nope. So many different types of people are married. So why couldn't you be married? What's different about you? You're so special and so unique that you couldn't possibly get married? No, not true. Absolutely not true. Of course you can. Of course.
Even if people are telling you that. If people like to talk a lot, but then you look at reality, and reality just doesn't support all of the chit chat. So
yeah, it's so
easier said than done, but don't let it get to your head.
Correct.
All right. This is a good one. They're all good. I know. Maybe a little random, but do you think that all people are a little scared of marriage? Older single here, as much as I really do want to get married. Eek. Yeah, you're normal.
I think so. I'm just like taking a moment to pause and think. Yeah, I think if you're not scared of marriage to a degree, you might not be normal, or you might not be in touch with your feelings. Marriage is a really big commitment, and you basically look through the entire world and you're like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with me and you. That's it. And you pick that person and you're like, besides myself, I pick you. You're going to be that person by my side. Ah,
right.
Really? Like, really?
It's a commitment.
It's huge. That commitment. Yeah. You shouldn't just be feeling like a tiny little bit. It should be a big weight on your shoulders. This is one of the top life decisions, if not the single most important life decision that you will make, is choosing that person of who you're going to be with for the rest of your life.
And I'm going to take it back to what we said about body image. Again, totally fine and normal to feel scared. It is a big commitment, but don't get stuck in the fear. Acknowledge the fear, and you figure out for yourself what tools you need to get past that in those moments, and to be very self-aware and take the time to think about, am I scareder? Am I more scared than I think I am? And am I subconsciously sabotaging potential relationships because of that fear?
Right. And it's a good time for us to tell you that there's a book that's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. It's on wherever, Amazon or one of those, grab it on eBay, used, whatever. And it will move you through this. If you're looking for a step-by-step process, it's a book that I highly recommend to my singles and the people that I work with. And I read it and I was like, oh, I'll need this for the people I work with. Like, I don't really have fears and stuff that I have to move through. And then I was like, holy smokes, I didn't even realize it. Wait, that's what that is. I didn't think of it as fear. I called it something else. And then I was able to identify it and then move through it. It is called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Carly, you want to drop a link in the... There we go, Carly.
Thank you.
All right. Ooh, I love this question. What if you're... Okay. What if you're dating someone whom you think is beautiful, but she constantly puts herself down no matter how much you try to feel otherwise? Can you marry someone like that?
You can. It's so hard. Some people have been fed a lot of stuff and nonsense, and the world has fed them a lot of negativity. Some people don't have as positive body image. They're not as positive as they could be or should be. What I'd love for you to do when you get to a safe, healthy point in your relationship where you're close enough is to sit down and have this heart to heart where you say, I just want you to know that I think that you're beautiful, and I need you to just receive that. Maybe you'll believe it one day, maybe you won't, but it's important to me that you try to believe that, because that's something that I see. And if you can't see that, that's painful to me, right? It hurts me that you can't see your beauty and I can see it. So say something heartfelt, give something over, and tell them, I want you to work on this because I see something really beautiful. And every time you say that you don't, like of course I'd want to be with something and someone beautiful on the inside and on the outside. And I'm picking you. I say you're beautiful. You're beautiful, you know?
Right.
That's the playful side. But you just help to reinforce this, help to build somebody up.
Aleeza, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like part of the equation has to be how emotionally draining it is for you, right? If she's someone, there's always hope. There's always potential, especially if it's something that bothers her, at least to a degree, and she's potentially willing to work on it down the road. But otherwise, it could be really tiring to live with someone who's struggling to a great degree. And that's kind of up to you to feel, how much am I willing to deal with if it stays like this for the rest of our lives? If it gets worse when we're together, you know, hopefully it won't, and God willing it won't. And hopefully, you know, you will be the kind of person who's able to help her find that through you. But that's something only you can answer.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Okay. We touched something here. What about the inverse? Many people around me think the person I'm dating is really, really beautiful. Though to me, I think they're okay and neutral in beauty. Is there something wrong with me? Maybe someone else should marry them that thinks they're really beautiful.
Ooh, such a good question. We love all these questions. Okay. So I would challenge you to date them longer and to see what other people are talking about and what's the beauty. Is it internal? Is it external? Is it the combination of both? And what's going on and what are you missing and what are you looking for, right? If you're not really seeing the full beauty, should you save it for somebody else? I mean, you could, but is that what you want to miss out on? Because apparently it's spectacular. And why can't you see that beauty? Or is it just not beauty to you? You know, like some people like apples and some people like oranges and some people like grapefruits and some people can't stand the opposite. So it could be that it's something that doesn't work for you. But if there's so many people around you that are seeing something so beautiful, I would challenge you to put on a different pair of glasses and take a look at the situation and get it into focus. And then once it's in focus, see if what you see is any different than what you used to be seeing, or what you saw, right? Getting late. No, so try to revise your vision. See if you could see a different vision. You don't have to give up yours. Hold on to your vision, right? And just put it aside and be like, oh, I'm coming back to you in a minute. And then I want you to see something else. I want you to see through somebody else's eyes, experience this person, right? So if I'm looking at somebody and I see beauty and you're looking at them and you're like, they're okay. I want you to, for a minute, step out of your eyes. I want you to look through my head. I want you to look through my eyes. What do I see that's beautiful? Now tell me what I'm looking at, okay? Try that exercise and then see if you can see what I see. And see if it changes what you see. Do you see what I see? Okay. A lot of references.
That one
I got. I was going to keep going with all sorts of references tonight, Sarah, until you got one. I'm so glad we did it before the end of the night.
All right. So I was going to ask a follow-up question, but it's actually coming in right here. So I'm going to let this question ask it. There was a woman I dated who was very nice and I liked her as a person, but I had to force myself to try to be attracted to her. We parted amicably. How much should one try to force attraction, if at all? And I'm kind of going to tag on a question. Last week when we talked about getting physical, we talked about the fact that you don't
not getting physical.
Or getting physical once you're married. We spoke about the fact that you don't need to test drive it, so to speak, because it's something that you'll work on together after a marriage, right? I'm curious if if someone's neutral, would you say keep working at it and let the attraction grow? And how much do you work at it? How much time do you give it?
Right. So we do have this theory of when in doubt,
go out,
or date them
till you hate them.
Okay. So if you do those things, in that case, I would keep going. If you're in the neutral zone, neutral will tend to go neutral to I like you more, or neutral to I just can't do this with you. And so
you're saying
it's not going to stay neutral. The needle is going to move. It's going to, and I'm not saying it's going to move fast. You know,
right.
You could go out another 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 or 9 times, and it might move a little bit. Right. In one direction or the other, or it might go up and then it might go down and then it might go back up, and you might be like, Aleeza, I don't know what to do. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not, and I'm not sure. So don't get confused by that, and don't let that trip you up. It's going to sometimes be there. It's going to sometimes not. If it grows consistently over the course of time, then it has the potential to be something. If it's just flat and neutral the whole time and you just really can't warm up to it, then it's too bad. You're going to miss out on a spectacular person on the inside because the outside doesn't work for you. But that's life.
That's not like a too bad on you. You missed out.
Thank you.
Just want to clarify that.
No, I'm teasing. It's kind of, thank you, Sarah. For anybody who doesn't know me, I like to be a little playful, so don't take it too seriously. That comment. No, it's just not for you. And it's okay if it's not for you, but don't walk away until you're sure you should be walking away. Give it a little bit longer to develop, and especially virtually. If you don't like something, you're going to run. You're going to be like, Aleeza, I am done. Right. Okay? It's only the I don't knows or the maybes that people stick around and they keep going out. And that's good. It's clarification. It's what we're working towards.
So I think the question, how much should one try to force attraction, if at all, is we don't try to force attraction, but we give it time to see what develops, whether it develops positively or it develops negatively, undevelops, whatever the word is.
Thank you. I like when you translate my brain and my words.
And that's what I'm here for. All right, next question. I've not met my soulmate. I'm using internet dating, but men don't want to drive more than 20 miles or only want long-term relationship and not marriage. I'm in my 60s. What else can I do?
Pray a lot. What else can you do? I would be intentional in the profile and letting people know online, I'm looking for a real long-term relationship. I'm looking for somebody who's open to traveling, to meet, and is flexible with their travel schedule. I would sweetly lay things out there that's informational that would help somebody, and I would keep looking. I would look on one dating website and then I would try another, and I would look on a social media like a Facebook group, and I would try somewhere else, and I would just put little bits of yourself into different places to try to see where you could find the person. So many people used to meet online. So many more people are now meeting online. So it's the place to be, and there's more than double or triple. There's just the numbers have multiplied so significantly right now that online is a great place to do it, and just vary where you're at so that you're kind of like fishing in this pond and then in this pond and then in this pond, and you get a little taste of everything to see where we're going to find what you're looking for. And expect 90% of the people that you meet to be wrong. So 9 out of 10 are going to be wrong, which means you might get one like, okay, maybe yes. So if you got that one, maybe, okay, yes, you could expect to have 10 more that are like, Aleeza, is that all that's out there? It's not all that's out there. There's more. So keep looking.
Since we're talking in the 60 age range, is there, what are the best sites for meeting a 60-something-year-old man?
Good question. I have heard, right, so it depends on what, Jewish category that you're in. I have heard, I'll just go through the list of them. For secular through, modern Orthodox dating, you could be on JDate, you could be on JWed. There are people that are on some of the apps, although the older that you get, I think JSwipe is where some people are, but some of the other, ones, people are not there. Yes, definitely. You could also be on Shabbat.com. I had a couple that met there. Recently, for a more observant crowd, Partners in Shidduchim, they have a wonderful website and have had, all ages and stages on there. Of course, there's Solio at Sinai, and they have done now, they used to do only a religious crowd. Now they do secular, religious, and everywhere in between. Who else and what else am I leaving out? There are, just thinking of what else. Those are really my top. Is that my top list? Do I have more?
I think you pretty much covered it.
Covered it. If I missed anything, put it in the comments and we will pick it up. But I would just try. If you don't like one, skip it, try another. If you don't like that one, skip it, try another. Give them like 2 months-ish, 3 months-ish, and then pop on to a different one. It's also nice because the way that the computer and the algorithms work, by the way, if you're a computer person, don't prove me wrong. This is my theory. So my theory is that you pop on and you're like new and fresh in the system, and the system pumps you out and pushes you through a little bit more. And then later on, as you like sit there in their system, you're no longer new. So when you like pop off and you go inactive and then you go somewhere else, then you're new and fresh in their system. Then later on, if you want to pop back, then you're new and fresh again. And in Aleeza's theory, in Aleeza's world, she thinks that that makes it better for you in dating.
I agree, you know, with
I mean,
all of my technical knowledge.
I'll ask one of my computer clients and they'll be like, Aleeza, that's one of those Aleeza-isms. It's a thing, but it's not a real thing. So you shouldn't say it. But I'll let you know.
Someone else just commented, but share it now. Isn't it?
Great. Thank you.
Someone suggested match.com. I'm not sure if, I don't know.
So match.com is the, as far as my understanding is, general dating and the single largest database perhaps in the world. It's probably for Jewish singles, less likely to be for observant singles. I wouldn't think more than traditional or modern Orthodox.
I will just throw out there that I have a client who just told me that she switched off of the Jewish sites and she went to a secular site and she found her, I mean, not her person, but she found a Jewish guy that they went out. Isn't that funny?
Right. Yeah, and it happens. You can go anywhere.
Someone else suggested Yam Suf.
Yam Suf, yeah.
I feel like I just checked that website and it wasn't working, but I could be wrong. Okay. So
one of those sites is for sale. I don't know if it's that one.
Okay, it might be that one. So that answer, by the way, was for anyone who asked about dating sites and apps. They're pretty much all this, like, have all ages and all of them. Some will be a little more geared, like JSwipe has, you know, more of the younger crowd on it, but a lot of them have all age ranges. We are getting questions about how to make yourself more marketable on apps. So that I'm going to say same thing, online, perfect profile found in Daters Academy. Basically, in a nutshell, you want to hook people. And
so did we ever do a Hooked on You webinar? We talked about it.
We did. We called it something else. We called it something else.
But should we do specifically like a Hooked on You with apps and like a new updated for the, virtual world?
I don't know. You tell us. Tell us in the chat box. I know Aleeza's going to be like, I was talking to them. But I never know when she's talking to you guys or when she's talking to me if she doesn't differentiate. Right?
So true.
All right, we have a couple more suggestions. Chabad Match, Find Your Basher, Why You Connect, etc.
Okay.
Yes, yep, do it.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we'll do that. Aleeza, in that one, will you also talk about what kind of picture you should profile?
Okay, so it's like Hooked on You picture. I'm taking notes. And like the short, like about you stuff. It's the hook.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Great. When trying to fix yourself spiritually, how should one pray for their soulmate?
So the short answer is any way that you want.
Right.
The medium answer is, I do actually have a list, and now we're gonna have to send it out in the email because I'm telling you about it. I do have a list of specific Tehillim, Psalms that people say when they're looking for their soulmate, and I could send you that list that I acquired that are like, like these things are better to do for this than that, and so these are specific to that. There's a handful of them. The other way that I have told people to pray for their soulmate is to pray that your spouse, your soulmate, is ready, in a good place, is able to have clarity when they meet you, is looking for you. Like, pray that they are healthy and well and just in the right place and time of their life to meet you. And not just like I'm praying for what I want and what I need. No, let me pray for you, right? That you should find your spouse, and that should be me, right? I'm praying for them. So you can pray for yourself to get what you need, and pray for your soulmate that they are ready and there to meet you. I love that, by the way.
Awesome. We got about 10 more minutes, so we're going to try to bounce through these. As about Chuppah dating, even though I've been dating for a while, I still sometimes feel like I'm not so accepted as a potential date from my background, because of my background, but the guys I've met that have been open do not seem to have their life together emotionally or financially. I'm tired of getting less than I deserve. It feels like I have to make a choice between less religious, but together in other areas, or the opposite, like I mentioned above. Is there hope?
Yes, I would like you to do a mind makeover, because this is what you're experiencing and this is what you're seeing in the world. And I need you to reframe, because something else exists out there. There's plenty. I'm a Balas Chuva. I grew up secular. I became observant later in life. There are so many people that are in our shoes that meet other people, and your person is here and they're normal and they're looking for you and they're wonderful. And there's many positive traits about them. I'm not sure why you're meeting what you're meeting. We might need to refine your profile, or we might need to refine who you're talking to help match you up, or where you are online. Or there's so many things about the process we need to do. But before we get to the process, forget about the technical stuff. I want to reframe what's up here. Your person's here. They exist and they are wonderful. If you're meeting part of the 90% that's totally not for you, but that's normal.
Right.
That's the 90% that's not for you. So we need to still look for that 10% and know that it exists.
Aleeza, can I give an example to just help explain the mindset reality disconnect? Because I know that for a long time when I heard that, like that you have to work on the mindset, I was like, yeah, but this is my reality. And I think that we need to acknowledge that, yes, your mindset can to a degree dictate your reality. And it's not that your reality isn't happening. We're not saying that, that you're getting the right matches, but not exactly the same situation. But I had a client who was telling me that when she would go out, she was struggling with dating because she's in a larger body. And when she would go out with her friends to a bar, she's like, all my friends would get hit on, and I only got like the awkward, nerdier guys that were not for me, but like no one ever hit on me. And I just asked her, what were you doing when you went to the bar with your friends? Right? And she's like, well, I was just standing awkwardly at the side because like I felt very uncomfortable. So, and I was like, okay, hold on. You have 3 friends who you think are getting hit on because they're thinner than you, but they're comfortable with themselves and they're flirtatious and they're, chatting with whoever's there. And then there's you who's awkwardly standing at the side because you feel uncomfortable in your body. What kind of vibe are you giving off? Right? And she realized that she was literally attracting the guys that she didn't want to attract just by awkwardly standing on the side. The awkward guys are like, oh, she feels equally uncomfortable. Let's go over to her, right? And so unintentionally, she was attracting those kind of people. When she does a mindset reset and goes out to the bar the next time, which like I'm really tempted to like get her to do, but Corona's thing. There's gonna be a difference in experience because she's more comfortable with herself now, and she's like, oh yeah, I could be flirtatious. What energy are you putting out? So again, not that your reality isn't happening for you, but that simple mindset part, being self-aware on what is not working for me, because you can't control anyone else. You can only control yourself. So what's not working for me? What do I need to work on in order to attract the kind of person that I want? Okay, I'm taking up way too much airtime. Let's get in a few more. Lisa's going to answer all of these. Do you think people need to go out to really know each other? I feel like online or virtually, you cannot get to know the other person.
So yes and yes. Yes, you could really get to know somebody online. And yes, you definitely need to go out in person to get to know them. And as soon as possible is my recommendation. It used to be, in the olden days, 3 weeks. Like we'd want you to get and meet in person. Sometimes online is taking double that time, and people aren't getting in person until much later. But as soon as you can get in person is the best thing, as quickly as possible, and also to do it as consistently as possible so that you can really get to know them.
Awesome. Okay. can you help me if someone is acting interested when in person and saying they want to go on more dates, but then doesn't contact you until random times, doesn't follow up on dates, but does act interested when you see them around? Do you think I should wait it out, or do you think he's not actually interested? He's a little older and mature, but not too old.
It's such a good question. I don't want to keep you waiting around for somebody that's not making things happen. So the option to me is, do you want to say something to them like, do you want to take this to the next level, or in your own words, express that? Or do you want to tell them, maybe this isn't, not tell them something, just in your own mind, okay, maybe this will go somewhere, maybe it'll not, but they're not pursuing it right now. I'm uncomfortable to pursue them, so I'm going to look elsewhere.
Awesome. I've dated conventionally attractive and non-attractive men. What really hooks me is how they are on the inside. Some of the less attractive men turned out to be the most attractive after getting to know them. How can you really get to know someone from a few words on a profile? It's hard to not swipe left on someone unattractive just from the looks department.
It's hard. This is why you must have a good profile. You must have information. I'd rather you have more than less. In a profile, more information is beneficial, less information is detrimental. Because if they don't like your punum, they're swiping left. And if they like what you say, but they're not sure if they like your face, they're going to swipe right. So you had, somebody was just telling me, one of my clients today, he's like, Aleeza, I don't understand. I get like 7 words and a photo. I don't know what to do with that. I don't even know who they are.
Right.
Please give. I said, look, they probably didn't finish setting up their profile. You know, they quickly threw it up there. They wanted to see who was on, and they didn't care about how they reflected themselves. You got to work on it.
Right. We got 2 more. So let's do the 2 and then we'll wrap this up. I'm in my mid-30s and I'm just not open to dating divorcees, one of the 2. I'm personally not open to it. People are telling me that I'm limiting myself. Should I be more open to this?
If you're not for it and they're going to tell you you're limiting yourself, you can say, that's true.
Right.
That is, right? I'm choosing to date single, never married, and that's what works for me. If you want to make a new decision in 6 weeks or 6 months or 6 years, you won't be single in 6 years, it won't matter. But if you want to make a new decision at a different time, you can always make a new decision at a different time. But right now that doesn't work for you, I'm okay with that. Does it mean that they won't give you divorcees as suggestions? Yeah. Are you okay with that? You also have to be okay with dating people that would be single and older and never married. Now, there's a certain benefit to dating a divorcee over single, never married. But we don't have to talk about that, and I'm not here to convince you of that. I'm totally fine with you just saying that's not for me. Thank you so much for the suggestion. If I change my mind, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Always be open to hearing what people have to say, but don't let them convince you that you're doing it wrong. Because as singles, there are way too many people telling us, and I only recently got out of the singlehood, so I'm going to say us, like way too many people telling you to ignore your gut, essentially. And it's so important to listen to it. So if you feel strongly about this, don't do it just because you want to like stick to your guns. But if you really feel strongly about this, don't do it. So referring back to the last question, someone says, yes, but I'm referring to the man's profile. How can I find meaning that they don't write about? You can't. That's on them. If they don't put anything in their profile, there's nothing you can do about it.
The only thing that you can do is swipe right and just assume you're going to have to get to know them from a phone call or from some sort of interaction, which it can be draining if there's so many people like that. Right. I'd rather you just keep browsing. Is there like a maybe? Is there like a swipe up for like show it to me later? I want to
coming soon. Marriage Minded Mentor dating app. Swipe up for everybody.
No. Like there's yes, right?
Is the swipe up? I need more information before I swipe right.
Yes, and it's also, I'm not sure if there's going to be anybody else to swipe right on, and I will swipe right on you if there's somebody else.
So is it like, it goes to your like save for later box? Kind of like on Amazon, you're not buying it now, you're not putting it in your cart, you're just saving it for later?
Yeah, like show me in a week from now, throw it to me again, because I'm not sure compared to everything else I'm seeing if I'm going to be okay with it, but today I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no. Okay,
so if any of you are coders, and you run with this idea, Aleeza needs commission and I need commission for explaining Aleeza's brain. Someone said Sayut Sinai has that.
You can swipe
I don't know if it's swipe up or a save for later.
No, they do have send the match later. They do have the send the match later. That's true.
Cool.
It's not on the swiping.
Someone says, I have a fabulously revamped profile thanks to Daters Academy.
Yay! And I just had over for Shabbos lunch last week somebody who got married and went through Daters Academy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, one last question and then we're going to sign off. What should I do if I'm dating someone who's on the same page as me, has qualities I value, and feels the same way about me? We can have good conversation, but no emotional connection is building. And we're trying, but it's still not happening. So first of all, we have a whole webinar on exploring emotional intimacy. Aleeza, any 30-second thoughts that you can share here?
Yeah, the 30-second thought is when there is something good on the inside and there's something that's connecting and there's something, when you have something, don't walk away from it. See if you can build it and spend at least twice as much time trying to build it, because the potential for greatness is there. And sometimes it just takes longer to get through this emotional piece. With some people we connect and it's like this click, it's this chemistry, and we think, wow, that's what I want with my soulmate. And it's just, if it's not there, it's never going to be there. It's really not true. For some people it happens and it really is there instantaneously, and that's what it is. And for other couples, it's this beautiful depth of intimacy, and it actually grows over the course of time very slowly. And you're like, we're getting nowhere, but I like you and I connect to you, and just things are nice and they're good, but you don't actually realize that I feel comfortable around you and I feel safe around you and I feel good when I'm with you. I'm just not feeling that nervous butterflies, excitement, something, which is actually infatuation, which is not intimacy. And what you might actually be feeling is intimacy, but you might not define it as intimacy. So I would want you to stick around.
Is there a timeline?
I mean, it's not a red flag to me. It's not a red flag when so many other things are right. It's a yellow flag of like, okay, we know what our issue is. This is our issue.
Right.
And I would actually just talk it out with him and be like, I like you. Let me give you the list of things I like about you. And I'm going to name the top 10 things I like about you. And you like me. Tell me the top 10 things you like about me. And for some reason, even though I like all these things and you like all these things, I don't know what you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling more than I'm feeling, but I'm not feeling what I think I should feel or what I have felt in the past or what I want to feel with somebody. Right. And I want to really connect with you more. I'm not sure why it's there. Talk about it and say, like, I'm not going anywhere. You don't go anywhere. I'm not going. Our relationship is safe and stable right now. Let's just talk about it. By the way, that is like the most intimate of intimate, to be actually able to talk to somebody about this not being there, but you want it to be there because there's something so beautiful that is here. Right. And it does. For many couples, it really does come. It's just, it looks and feels different. And sometimes it's even deeper and stronger.
Awesome. So Carly has a saying that I know you're going to love. So she added on to your when in doubt, go out. If you might, swipe right.
Oh, Carly, love it.
All right, Aleeza, tell us what's up with this. Yeah.
We're going to invite Goldie on. Can you, I think she's got her hand raised right now. Will you find her and invite her, because we are going to invite Goldie.
So you got to do that.
Oh, I have to find her. So you have to keep talking.
And then is this the after party? Are we having an after party?
No, we're going to have an after party. So let's see. Ooh. Promote to panelist. Here we go. Did it work?
It worked.
Throw your video on if you can.
You have to give her host to turn on her video.
Do I? Okay.
And Goldie, you're muted. Just an FYI.
It said you cannot start your video because the host has a secret.
Hang on, I'm throwing you host. You get to be host, so don't cancel my webinar.
All right. Now you should be able to turn on your video.
You got it? Oh. Yes, no, maybe.
Hi! Oh my God, she has a power rack in the background. I don't know if you're at the gym or you're at home, but I love it. That makes me happy.
Everybody, I want to make an introduction to Goldie. She is our sponsor for this evening, and she, through divine intervention, we met. Actually, after a webinar, I got a text message from a matchmaker that I love, that I'm so close with, and she's like, can you come onto this, you know, live? And I thought she meant with her. And I'm like, sure. And she like texted me Goldie's info. And I was like, okay. And I texted Sarah. I'm like, I'm going onto this live for 10 minutes. I'll call you soon. And I got onto the live, and then I never called Sarah back. I was on the live.
No, I get a text. I need you to moderate right now. Get on the live.
Oh my God. Sorry, we stole her from you.
That's totally fine. I can share.
All right. Okay, so we want to introduce Goldie to you. You will tell us a little bit about you and what you do, so our audience can hear about you. And then I want to tell them about our after party that we're gonna have tonight.
Okay. A little bit about me. Can you guide me? I can say what I do. I'm a makeup artist.
Yeah.
I'm a makeup artist. I live in the 5 towns, but I travel. I primarily do bridal parties all over the tri-state area, and I've been doing makeup since I was like 15. I went to school for when I was 15, so like a long time ago. And it's awesome. Like after college, I made it a full-time thing, and I love it. Thank God I'm so happy with it. And I love that I get to do, I love my job, and every job, every bridal party brings on something different and something new. So it's never the same thing twice.
Amazing. Amazing. And I told everybody, so for anybody who's in the tri-state area, you will be a bride soon. And so if you are looking for somebody to help you, you should check out Goldie. They can find you on Instagram at Makeup Goldie. Okay. And that's where we're going to have our after party tonight. And what's our plan?
Link there.
Okay. So what's our plan? Our plan is we are going to talk about dating a little bit. We're going to talk about we talk tonight about doing this makeover, but we're really going to talk about how to pull everything together and how to just do it in a way where you're feeling more supported and getting what you need, and you're going through the process and you're figuring it all out. And I think that you're like the live specimen that is going to actually like walk the walk and talk the talk with me. And we're gonna, I don't mean it in that negative way, but like we're gonna have a good time together and be like open and real and vulnerable and connect.
Yeah, I think that maybe on Instagram we should kind of give everyone, like, I know this was started at 8 o'clock and it's an hour and a half, but maybe we can give them like a little synopsis on like the key points and, you know, restarting. Because I feel like dating post-COVID is like a whole different vibe. It's like regular dating and then dating now. And like people that have, either people dated during Corona and got engaged, and, you know, that's great.
Yeah.
People haven't dated and now they're like getting back into it, but it's been so long that it's like you need a refresher. So, you know, like, or you dated during like COVID on Zoom and like now you're going out in person, but it's still like weird, you know what I'm saying? So maybe we could just do, you know, like a synopsis of tonight and like some tips on my Instagram, like what you shared. I'm gonna watch the replay. I actually had a double breast tonight. A close friend of mine had.
Mazal tov.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to watch it, but I definitely will watch the replay. And I think that it would be cool to share that, and then we can introduce what we're gonna be starting to do.
Okay. All right. So we'll have a surprise on Instagram for you. We're gonna tell you all about it there.
Okay.
Awesome. So we just put Goldie's link in the chat box. Aleeza, are we starting now?
We're gonna
hop on?
We'll meet. Yeah, you want to meet there? Like 9. What time?
Like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll meet there like 9:50.
Yeah.
And I'll just sorry. Anything else you want to tell us, or anything?
No. So I'll go live, and then you'll request to join like last time.
Okay. Great. Okay. And just for anybody who's still here, in terms of working with us, if you are looking to do dating and relationship coaching, if you have more specific detailed questions and you're thinking, you didn't really answer my question, or it's too in-depth and you want to work with us, I have a team of coaches. There are 5 amazing coaches on my team, and we have 2 different ways that you can work with us. One is called Over Your Hurdles, and the other one's called Under the Chuppah. And Over Your Hurdles is like no commitment, just sign up, pick a coach, and work with us for a session. Get whatever you need, work with us as much or as little as you need. Under the Chuppah is a package where you sign up either for 3 months or 6 months. You commit to working with us, and you get our whole team to work with you through the process. And there's a ton of information online. And before you do any of that, if you've never worked with us, just sign up for a free 15-minute intro to meet one of the coaches or sign up with me. And I would love to get to know you and learn more about what you're looking for and how we can help you. It is my life's mission. It's my mission to help you all to get under the chuppah. And so if you could help me fulfill my life's purpose, and I'll help you to fulfill your dreams, we'll be dream makers together.
Sounds awesome. Okay, so we'll see you in a few.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you
My
for sponsoring and being here with us.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.